Only a minute passed by since the skeleton known as Brook left and told to the Straw Hat crew to run away from this mysterious and dangerous island. While some of the crew members completely agreed with what the skeleton said, the other crew members such as Luffy and Broly couldn't wait to set foot on this island as soon as possible, each with his own reason. While the two eagerly awaited to land on the island, some crew members hoped to leave this strange place immediately, but that wasn't about to happen. People, we need to get away from here, suddenly yelled Usopp, all terrified by what he heard from the skeleton. He wasn't the only one thinking the same thing yet, but wait. Where is that ghost from before? Is he still on the ship? Chopper agreed, but then shouted when he remembered the ghost. He walked behind Usopp and tried to locate the ghost that appeared not so long ago. No. He flew towards the island. He probably lives there, spoke Zoro, who was calm with all that was going on. It was true that the whole situation with the skeleton and the ghost surprised him, but he was sure something strange was going on and it would be interesting to see it. While Chopper and Usopp relaxed a little, Robin approached to the fence of the ship and gazed toward the mouth that closed them in. That large vibration from before was when that mouth-like gate closed, and I think we were eaten by that mouth, stated Robin as she pointed with her left index finger towards the mouth-shaped gate. Eaten? Do you think so? Asked Luffy, who was near her standing on the fence and couldn't wait to search the whole island. I can't be sure because of the fog, but I think that could be it, and because of that we can't leave this place, answered Robin, on which Usopp immediately screamed in fear. The screaming started to irritate the tall scion. He couldn't stand weaklings nor cowards, and on top of all, he wanted to go and find someone worth fighting. The scion walked towards the fence and tried to take a better look at the island, but even though he was from another world, he just like the humans couldn't see a thing besides one big castle on the island. Broly tried to concentrate and feel if there was someone strong enough to be worth fighting, but because of all the screaming and yelling from behind his back, he couldn't concentrate well enough. Out of frustration, the scion didn't notice that he strengthened the grip on the fence and caused the whole ship to shake under his power. Half of his companions fell on the floor because of the strong tremor, while the others barely managed to stand. Broly quickly noticed what he was doing and stopped that, but when he turned around and saw the scared expressions on few people's faces, he couldn't but spat in disgust. Whoa, what was that? Yelled Nami, who almost fell on the floor from the stairs while she was walking, but luckily the navigator stopped herself from falling by holding the fence. Probably a wave, but I think it passed. What's also the case is that we can't just drop the anchor here if the island moves, declared Frankie as he placed his sunglasses back on his head and looked around. Hey, stop talking like we're gonna go there. We need to escape from here quickly or we'll be cursed. Yelled Usopp at Frankie, on which Chopper completely agreed, while Luffy came out from the ship's room with a net and equipment to catch anything that moved, while Nami just cried in fear. I think I got an I can't go on that island disease, cried Nami while she was crouching and shaking in fear. Near her was the little Chopper, who joined her while Luffy just laughed at the two. All right, you stay here and guard the ship while we are going, said Luffy with a big smile on his face, while Usopp yelled at his captain for acting so carefree in this kind of situation. Aha! You got all your stuff prepared for an adventure. Come to your senses, Luffy. That island is dangerous, and look at that castle. It's clear that it's haunted by some evil spirits. You underestimate them. Yelled Usopp at his captain with all his might, but unfortunate for the long nose, Luffy already decided to go and there was no way in stopping him. What are you talking about? I will be really careful. I'm gonna catch the ghost and keep it, said Luffy, who was determined to catch the ghost at all cost, which only angered Usopp even more. Ah, you're underestimating them already, shouted Usopp in Luffy's ears, but the young pirate just walked away with a smile on his face. Whatever, after all, I need to bring back my crew member, Sanji. Lunchbox! Yelled Luffy as he turned towards the doors of the kitchen, only to ignore more of Usopp's yelling. Just at that moment, Sanji, followed by Robin, came out with the lunchboxes in his hands. Listen, Luffy, Frankie, you better protect Robin, ordered Sanji, who had his cigarette in his left hand, as he pointed at the duo on the deck. An adventure on a mysterious island really gets you pumped, yelled Frankie, who was getting excited as he was striking the pose. Before they departed to the island, Frankie decided to show them the docking system of the ship. While the whole crew was occupied with all the new stuff on their new ship, Broly couldn't but think how these people knew only to talk, and that was going on his nerves. While he found the docking system somehow interesting, he couldn't but laugh at the little boat that Nami, Usopp, and Chopper were riding. From the things he learned in this few days, he could come to a conclusion that this planet didn't have the advanced technology, and that made him wonder how would he leave this planet when he gets everything from it. The scion snapped from his thoughts when he heard a loud scream from far away. It seemed that something happened to the girl, the coward, and the deer. While Sanji was yelling Nami's name, Broly suddenly felt something on the ship and quickly turned his head towards the front of the ship when just then the anchor of the ship dropped in the sea, surprising everyone else. Huh? The anchor just dropped! Yelled Luffy, who was the first to notice it. The others immediately looked in the same direction and wondered how was that even possible, but nobody even touched it. Anyway, pull it back up or the ship will go off balance, said Frankie, who was feeling uneasy because of what was going on all of a sudden, but just then another thing happened. The hatch on the deck opened by itself, and the first to notice that was Zoro. What? The hatch opened this time. Did somebody touch it? Asked Luffy, who was close to Sanji, looked at the hatch, and Zoro, who was only 2 meters away from it. No one was close enough to open it, answered Zoro, who immediately placed his hands on his swords, ready to cut whoever was doing this. Somebody's on this ship, stated Broly quietly, but enough to be heard by the others, who were a little surprised that the scion spoke, because of his little socializing with the others, and with sudden remark, "Wait, how do you know that?" "Huh?" asked Sanji, but never got an answer from the scion, who shifted his gaze somewhere else. The blonde cook turned around when he saw something. "Luffy, you idiot, now's not the time to goofing around," yelled Sanji at his captain, who had his mouth stretched, but little did Sanji know that this wasn't his captain's doing. While Luffy tried to explain it to Sanji, he was suddenly smacked in the face. Luffy tried to take a step forward and explain, but he suddenly found himself on the floor and with Sanji yelling at him. While all of that was going on, Robin used to consideration Broly's statement when she heard something close to them. "What is that?" "A beastly voice," wondered Robin as she looked around, while Zoro noticed that one of his swords was pulled out and moved towards Luffy to chop off his head, but to Luffy's luck, Frankie quickly moved and just kicked him away, just in time. "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" yelled Frankie at Zoro, who was so surprised that he didn't know what to say. "I'm sorry, but the sword just moved on its own," explained Zoro, who was sweating all over his forehead. This was too close, and if it weren't for Frankie, Luffy would be dead right now. "It's strange, but I think someone actually could be on the ship. Just a moment ago, I heard a growl of a wild beast," stated Robin, who was more and more sure that Broly was right. But the question was what was that and how to uncover it. "So it's a ghost, a wild beast, or a devil fruit user," said Frankie, who sweated a bit because of how uneasy he felt. This was something to be difficult to deal with. Just as Frankie finished with his sentence, Sanji jumped on the fence, all prepared to go and find Nami. Without wasting any second, the blonde cook jumped in the air, but only to be caught by the invisible hand and be smacked on the ship. "Uncool!" yelled Zoro, Luffy, and Frankie at Sanji's failed attempt to rescue the others, but they were soon even more surprised when they saw Sanji floating upside down in the air. While the three were staring at Sanji, the cook was suddenly spinning in the air and thrown away to the other side of the ship, leaving the crashed cook to wonder what just happened to him. "You're a clown," spoke Zoro with a serious face, which only angered the blonde cook. "Shut up. You saw what happened," yelled Sanji at the green-haired man. He didn't want to be mocked by Zoro, and especially, not now. "Whatever it is, it doesn't want us to leave the ship," said Frankie, who was sure that whoever it was that it had something against them and didn't want them to leave the ship. Zoro immediately pulled out the 2 swords and was ready to cut the one who was doing all the problems for them, once and for all, but just at that moment, all of them heard a yell. They all turned around and saw Robin using her devil fruit powers to protect herself from something. They didn't quite understand what was going on until they were able to hear the beastly sound for the first time. "What's going on, Robin?" yelled Sanji, who immediately stood up from the floor, worried about Robin. Something's trying to grab me," Robin barely managed to say it since she had a hard time to protect herself from the thing that was attacking her. "You son of a thing. Trying to grab Robin," growled Sanji angrily and was about to attack the thing, but he and the others were surprised when they suddenly saw that the thing which tried to catch Robin flew away from Robin and crashed into the storage room, leaving a huge hole in the wall. All of them turned around only to see Broly with his usual cold expression on his face standing near Robin. They were surprised because no one saw Broly in an actual battle before. Well, they only saw a little from his scuffle with Garp, but what amazed them was how he saw the thing. "Ha, weakling," proclaimed the scion and walked towards the broken wall. Broly was a little bit surprised when he noticed that the thing was on the run. The scion formed a wicked expression on his face. He was going to have fun with this thing, a nice hide-and-seek game, but in scion style. As the scion was thinking about the game, he didn't notice that the others were still looking at him, but when he noticed it, he didn't care one bit because he had one thing in his mind: to hunt the thing down and kill it. How was he able to hit it when no one could see it? Asked Zoro himself and wondered how powerful Broly really was, which made him uneasy. The taller man could prove to be a problem if they were careless. While Zoro was lost in his thoughts, Robin approached the scion who was staring at the island. "Thank you for that. I really appreciate it," spoke Robin with a gentle voice while she smiled. She wondered how he managed to do that, and to tell the truth, she really wanted to know more about the strange man. Broly noticed Robin standing close to him and for the first time in his life received appreciation. He somehow felt good to hear that for the first time in his life, and how she smiled at him, but the tall scion quickly tossed that feeling away. He was a scion, a ruthless warrior feared all over the universe. This kind of things weren't important to him, so he just grunted something and walked away. As he walked towards the fence, Robin remained a bit confused at first, but then she just smiled at his silly behavior. Just at that moment, a sudden pack of waves hit the ship and made it shake. Frankie immediately told the others to raise the anchor so that they could move away, but as soon as they did that, they were thrown towards the giant spider web. There weren't even time to use one of the ship's secret weapons, so they were caught in giant spider web. "Well, that's just great. We can't do nothing but stay put because of this huge spider web," spoke Sanji, who wasn't in a good mood while he lighted up the new cigarette. "That skeleton ship too, and even Mini Mary are here, but there is no sight of Nami, Usopp, and Chopper. I can't stop but think that this was all planned. There is something strange going on," mumbled Zoro, who was by now the only one standing on the ship while the others were already at the entrance of the island. "Hey Zoro, what are you rambling about? Come with us since there will be more lunchboxes," yelled Luffy with a smile on his face. He was ready for finding some ghosts, while his new crew member Broly only wanted to hunt the thing from the ship and find if there was someone strong to fight.